So yeah, Tolkien, the autobiography of one J.R.R. Tolkien, the creator of the Lord of the Rings universe. So, okay. I'm going to be perfectly honest with everybody. The Hobbit was a book that my mom had when I was a kid. And she would read part of it to me when I was a kid so that, you know, to her it was a better storytime material than Goldilocks and the Three Bears or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or something like that. Instead, no, my mom actually read The Hobbit to me when I was a kid to kind of expand my thoughts on fantasy and all this and all that. My mom was an art teacher.
Maybe this is why you were a nerdy man.
Maybe. But
I got an NES when I was 3 years old, which I think is why I am nerdy man. With me, like, the Lord of the Rings movies came out, and I had never really heard much about the books. And I was just like, well, the trailer looks really cool, so I'm going to go see that. And I really liked them, you know. And once I had seen all three of them, I was like, you know what? I'm going to read the books, and I'm going to start with The Hobbit, since it's basically the first, you know, the prequel or whatever. So I started with The Hobbit, and I read all the way through it, and I fucking loved it. And then I started to read The Fellowship of the Ring, and for some reason just stopped and never really got through it. And so I've never actually read the original, or, you know, the Fellowship series. But I read The Hobbit, and so when they actually made the Hobbit movies, I was super fucking stoked, because I was like, yeah, I actually read the book, so I'm stoked to see these. Even though I read the book, that's one of the few movies, like, where I've read the book, and I was still pretty okay with the movies. I was still a big fan of them. That's my Lord of the Rings history. I actually remember taking the book with me to a church retreat, and I was worried about it because I was like, oh man, I just thought about the fact that this is like, you know, a magical fantasy book, and they're probably going to see this book and just be all like, it's like, oh, witchcraft and shit. And I was surprised because my youth leader like saw it and was like, oh dude, like Tolkien's like, you know, Christian and has like a lot of actual like Christian themes like within his stuff. And I was like, oh,
same thing with C.S. Lewis.
Didn't realize that. Yeah,
Same thing with C.S. Lewis.
I knew that about C.S. Lewis. Because I mean, Aslan's like supposed to be like a Christ's figure essentially.
Yeah, it's awesome. So anyway, the autobiography, I've known about this for some time, and I know that Nicholas Hoult is the one playing J.R.R. Tolkien. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do in this. So, I guess without further ado, let's see what happens.
Tell me a story.
It's a story about journeys. The journeys we take to prove ourselves. It's about adventures. It's about potent magic. Magic beyond anything anyone has ever felt before. About what it means to love. And to be loved. About courage. It's about fellowship.
All right. So pretty much instead of this just being like how he wrote the books, instead it's a chronicle of his life that led to the books, from what it looks like. From his service in World War I, which... World War I, man. A pure war of attrition. I mean, that's all it was. And... God. I can't... Like me... Yeah, I'm fortunate enough, I'm blessed enough to say that I live in an era that doesn't have a mandatory draft and doesn't have it to where I have to serve or anything like that.
Or at least not right now. Like,
knock on wood.
Yeah. It's like there's always a possibility that if
they bring the draft
World
back.
War III starts, that they'll be like, hey, you guys register for the draft, come on over.
Oh yeah, you're automatically registered for the draft when you turn 18.
I'll be like, I have asthma and I can't see shit, and like what fucking good am I gonna do, you know?
You know what they'll say? They'll be like, You have asthma? Yeah. You have glasses? Yeah. Well, at least you don't have flat feet. 1A. You're approved.
I'm dead.
Well, there you go.
Dead as hell.
And they're like, "What about you, son?" It's like, "I'm too fat. I have flat feet, and in all honesty, sir, I think I might be. I think I might. I think I might be having a heart attack." And just fall over right there, and he'll be like, "Well, well." And then he stamps me 1A and says, "Take him to." It's like take him to, and all of a sudden he'll be like, "Medic!" And they'll just be carried off, and I'll just be like, "God dang it, I thought that would work." But yeah, I'm glad that they're telling this story, and I'm glad that Tolkien is finally getting a bit of a, I guess he's getting a bit of a renaissance. I know people are just like, well, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, the movies that all this and all that. It's like, but yeah, that's people focusing on those stories. However, instead of focusing on Tolkien, the man behind them, what made him think about those. That's just like me. I'd love to see a film about Isaac Asimov. Have you ever heard of Isaac Asimov?
I've heard the name, yeah.
Yeah, he's the man he's a science fiction writer who came up with the 3 laws of robotics.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's considered by many to be probably the greatest science fiction writer of all time. And I can see it because a lot of the inspirations that are in science fiction come from him.
One of the first times I heard of the laws of robotics was in a game I had on PC when I was a kid. It was called Robot City. And it was essentially like a murder investigation type point and click adventure where you had to figure out why a robot committed a murder. And so, the whole thing was like, yeah, well, like robots aren't supposed to be able to commit murders because of the 3 laws of robotics.
Sort of like iRobot.
What happened with it? And it was pretty cool.
Sort of like iRobot.
Yeah.
So, I want to see what they're going to do here, and I want to see what they're how Tolkien came to be, and if he and if everything that I don't know if everything that's going to be portrayed in this is going to be 100% accurate. But I hope that this does justice to the life that Tolkien lived and speaks not only to because everyone knows the Lord of the Rings, but also there were other works that he did that I find to be actually very good. Him and C.S. Lewis both actually did poetry in their spare time, and their poetry is actually really good. So I'm interested to see how much they're going to include in this. Here's hoping. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that we get something good. All right. Well, yeah, this is a short one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you have enjoyed what you've seen here. If you want to see more of the trailer, the link as always is in the description down below. And if you want to see more of us, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and don't forget to comment down below. And, yeah, so I guess until next time, I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
We'll see you then. Peace out.